was just like a brotherhood, someone to get together with and talk over their troubles, and just someone there to listen.
Gangs certainly seem out of place with the image we have of Appleton, but people here and in other Valley communities began noticing signs of gang activity about 5 years ago. Graffiti on some buildings, kids hanging.
Before the killings in May 1995, local politicians tried to downplay gangs in Appleton. If there was a problem, they said, it was due to outsiders, code speak for blacks, coming up from Chicago and Milwaukee.
There's no question that a lot of this activity is linked to the gangster disciples out of Chicago. Green Bay seems to be kind of a focal point, but it's spread down through the valley, and we have it. That's a fact of life.
But the circumstances in Jermaine Gray's murder were the exact opposite of what mostly white Appleton would have expected. The victim was a black kid from Milwaukee. The murderers were local whites.
DMAC crew was a splinter group of the black gangster disciples. And the key there is the word black, in that most of the members of the DMAC crew were white.
I think after Plowman, it wasn't quite so easy to blame all the problems on the outsiders coming in. These kids were mostly from the area. And then I think people maybe need to do a little more soul searching about what's really happening right here.
I don't like that picture. Because, for one, they're all hugged up, and they're supposed to be friends. Those three are flashing gang singers, and Jermaine is not. And the look he has on his face is phony as two left shoes. It doesn't look like Jermaine at all. It's like he's fronting for that pose. Whoever took that picture, I'd like to know who took that picture.
Jermaine Gray's mother, Florence Morrow, lives on the north side of Milwaukee. In this neighborhood, gangs and gunfire are everyday life.
It starts at 12 o'clock and it doesn't stop till like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Sirens. And you can hear pistol shots. How did Jermaine deal with that? And
that was the rule of the house. When we hear gunshots, we hit the floor. And he said, "Mom, I'm tired of this. You don't have to live like this." You know? He had wanted me to get a gun to protect myself. But I told him, "No, not with your little brothers in the house." I didn't want them. I want you to understand that my son was not a gangster. He was a loving person. He was a sweet person. All he did was love. He didn't want to hurt anybody. And if he did want to hurt somebody, it was because they tried to hurt him first.
For one, the reason why he left home was to get away from the gangs here. They all would go up there to go out. And that's when I guess he started meeting all the girls. So from there, he just kept going back and forth up there.
It appears that he was probably given some validity by the local kids because he came from Milwaukee.
Shane brought him in and introduced him. He thought it was so great. This big black dude had his same last name. Like I said, I didn't know he was even from Milwaukee and why he was in Appleton.
He was black, he came from Milwaukee, therefore he should be a gang member. Unfortunately, that's a stereotype that is quite prevalent, I think, among the kids here.
He was going to try to go to the technical college up there. He really wanted to stay up there and better his life.
So do you think Jermaine was a real gangster, or you don't know?
I believe he's a real gangster.
Well, we didn't have a lot of information that connected him directly to a gang, and he was a hardcore gang member down in Milwaukee and was tightly involved in gangs. We didn't find anything to really support that.
Jermaine was a pretty ruthless guy, pretty cold-hearted. Someone you really wouldn't want to meet up with in a dark alley.
He may not have been a gang member, but I'm sure he knew of them living in Milwaukee. And all of a sudden he had some status thrust upon him. And I believe he may have started living some of that here, or not necessarily correcting people,
Derek had just come into being. He had just gained some power. He had just gained some acknowledgement. And now this other young man moves in and he threatens all of that. He's moving in on your gang status. He's moving in on your drugs and your weapons and your money. And he's laughing at you. He's publicly ridiculing you to other people. And a real bottom line for me, I guess, is that then he sleeps with your girlfriend.
And then again, I think it has to do with his girlfriend, Barnstein's girlfriend. Because, in fact, she's supposed to be liking Jermaine. And he didn't like that.
Derek had, it was the weirdest thing, he had a love-hate relationship with Black. That sense of blackness. He was in awe of them, and yet he was very intimidated and afraid of them.